Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are in the book of Joshua, and we will be using, excuse me, our art scroll, artscroll.com. You can go and get this book. It's got both Joshua and Judges in it. We'll be in there for a minute because after we get done with Joshua, we're moving on to Judges, which I can't say it enough, is my favorite. For the action-packed, hold up, let me get this smudge off of the camera. There we go. Whoa, there we go. Oh, yes. And sometimes you'll smudge up everything, just setting it up, you know? It is what it is, huh? So we'll be using this guide for a minute. It's the Reuben edition, the prophets. We are in Joshua chapter 13. And just again, if you decide to get the book, you can always follow along via two ways, Safaria.org. Actually, several ways. Safaria.org, there's commentary there. Or you can go to Chabad.org, the complete Tanakh with Rashi commentary. And there's an old school, what's that called? The Macron or something? It was before Safaria. So, I mean, there's all kind of ways. But if you get the book, what you're going to get is Hebrew on one side and some sages on the same side, all in Hebrew. And then you're going to get English, the English version of this, and the sages in English. So when you see me read and I'm reading the comments, I do the same with the Rashi. Art Scroll has the same system. Most books have the same system. So let's go. I'd like to dedicate this shiur to Rav Bernstein, my mother Iris Elizabeth Roque, and my grandparents Eddie and Lydia Hollinger. Who would you like to dedicate this shiur to? May their memories be for a blessing. Let's go. This Joshua boy, it's like getting the getting the seat at the movie theater. Popcorn, please. Coffee, please. Let's see what we got over here. Yeah, there it is. Ready to go. Okay, so make sure we're on time here. Joshua was old. Dag. I'm sorry. Did I read the wrong? Yeah, now he ain't old. Let's go. We're in chapter 12. I'm already in chapter 13. I don't know. Let's start again. Chapter 12. Joshua. What? Joshua? Oh, what? So, spoiler alert. Okay, chapter 12. These are the kings of the land whom the children of Israel smote, and whose land they inherited on the other side of the Jordan towards the rising sun, from the river Arnon to Mount Hermon and the entire plain to the east. So let's get a little introduction. So this art scroll gives us, it's called Inventory of Territory. So this chapter lists all the land that was conquered by Moshe and Joshua, and that was now ready for distribution to the tribes. So the chapter also lists the 2 kings defeated by Moshe and the 31 kings of the defeated Canaanite city-states conquered by Joshua. So, let's go back to verse 1. These are the kings of the land whom the children of Israel smote, and whose land they inherited on the other side of the Jordan toward the rising sun, from the river Arnon to Mount Hermon and the entire plain to the east. Verse 2, Sihon, king of the Amorite, who dwelt in Heshbon and who ruled from Aroer, that is on the edge of the river Arnon in the middle of the river, and the half of the Gilead until the river Jabbok, the border of the children of Ammon, and the plain unto the Kinnereth Sea, the Sea of Galilee, to the east, and until the sea of the plain, the salt or the Dead Sea, to the east, the way to Beth Jeshemoth, and from the south, under the falls of Pisgah, and the boundary of Og, king of Bashan, who was a remnant of the giants, and who lived in Ashtaroth and in Edrei, and who reigned in Mount Hermon and Salcah, and all of Bashan up to the border of the Geshurite and the Ma'akathite, and half of Gilead up to the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Moshe, servant of Hashem, and the children of Israel defeated them. And Moshe, servant of Hashem, gave it as an inheritance to the Reubenite and the Gadite and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Wow. That was just Moshe's work. Let me just read. Okay, so here it's called Moshe's Conquest of Sichon and Og, and that's verses 1 through 6, what we just read. Before his death, Moshe conquered the lands of Sichon and Og, or Sihon sometimes, and Og, on the east bank of the Jordan. His name is not mentioned as the conqueror of Sichon because he did not participate personally in the war. Moshe is mentioned in verse 6, which comes after the delineation of Og's kingdom, because the gigantic, fearsome Og could not have been defeated without his participation. And that note comes from the Kli Yakar. According to Ralbag, so Og could not be defeated without Moshe's participation. He was that much of a boss, if y'all know video games. According to Ralbag, Moshe is not mentioned at the beginning of the passage to indicate that his triumphs were not in his personal merit, but because of God's covenant with the patriarchs. And let's see what else we got here. Okay, a note on verse 6. So Moshe, when it says servant of Hashem, the verse accentuates the source of Moshe's greatness. Everything he did was in the service of God without any personal considerations. And the tribes mentioned here requested the land east of the Jordan. So verse 7, let's go into that. So that was just for Reubenite, Gadites, the Gadites, and that tribe of Manasseh. Verse 7, these are the kings of the land whom Joshua and the children of Israel smote on the western side of the Jordan, from the plain of Gad in the Lebanon valley to the split mountain that ascends to Seir. Joshua gave it as an inheritance to the tribes of Israel according to their divisions, in the mountains and the lowland, in the plain and in the land of the waterfalls, and in the wilderness, and in the south, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, and the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Okay, so this is the land. This is going to be who Joshua gave that work to, as an inheritance to the tribes of Israel according to their divisions. So we got like a little bit the mountain and the lowland, the plain and the land of the waterfalls, the wilderness. We got that part. Now he's going to get into the details. The king of Jericho, the king of Ai, which was near Bethel, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, the king of Giza, the king of Debir, the king of Geder, the king of Hormah, the king of Arad, the king of Libnah, the king of Adullam, the king of Makedah, Bethel, Tappuah, Hether, Afek, Sharon, Madon, Hazor, the king of Shimron, Meron, the king of Achshaf, the king of Ta'anach, the king of Megiddo, the king of Kadesh, the king of Jokneam and Carmel, the king of Dor, the district of Dor, the king of Goim and Gilgal, the king of Tirzah, and all the kings are 31. These are all kings. The kings! Alright, so the note here is Joshua's conquest. So Malbim notes that in several cases, Jerusalem among them, the cities mentioned here remained in Canaanite hands, but their kings were killed in battle. The cities remained in Canaanite hands, but the kings were killed in battle. So that's interesting, because we would have read this and just assumed the king and the city fell. But the Malbim wants us to know for sure the kings fell, even though the cities were in Canaanite hands, but the leader of those cities was gone. So this note is called the 31 Kings. The Kli Yakar cites and explains the Midrashic explanation in Bereshit Rabbah 53:10. Y'all know Bereshit Rabbah. On this chapter, Eretz Yisrael was so prestigious that many kings from outside the country owned cities in the Holy Land, which explains why there were so many kings for such a small country. That's a good point. It also explains why the ruler of only one town should bear the august title of king. And that comes from the Ma'am Loez. All the kings of Canaan took part in the banquet celebrating Isaac's circumcision. Wow. And they joined in mocking Abraham, saying that surely Abimelech was the true father, since Abraham and Sarah had been married for many decades without offspring. Okay, y'all remember that from the Torah, when Abraham and Sarah went through Abimelech's land, and Abimelech took her to wife, and so all those years Abraham not having kids, and all of a sudden after this time she becomes pregnant, and they're saying that was Abimelech was a daddy. This interpretation of Abimelech is about him mocking, and the Canaanite kings mocking Abraham because there's no child coming from this marriage, and then all of a sudden you get a child and daddy is not even, is Abimelech. This is one interpretation of Abimelech's character. I want you to know. We read in Rashi there were different understandings of Abimelech's character. So this is Midrash Agadah, where you can kind of come from different angles to look at a certain situation. But all that to say, these particular gentlemen, they're saying, were invited to Isaac's circumcision. And when they went there, they joined in mocking Abraham, like, that's not even your boy, and that's, you're circumcising Abimelech's son, basically, kind of thing. Okay, God responded that these scoffers, so, okay, God's like, okay, y'all want to scoff at my servant Abraham? That you're going to be conquered by the millions of Isaac's offspring who would inherit the land God promised Isaac. And this comes from, let me see, is this also from Bereshit Rabbah? So the whole point is, it's not necessarily that it happened this way, but it's just showing you, always one of the tools of Midrash in the Torah is to show you a concept using a story, if you will. So these people who Abraham and Isaac, if you will, they're battling back and forth all this time, and then look whose offspring end up taking over this whole land, where you was mocking over here, and now look who's ruling things. That's the point. And when you're studying Midrash, if you have to, I'm quoting Rav Bernstein directly. If you have to ask the question, did that really happen? Then you've missed the point. Okay. All right. So let me see. Is there any more there? Done. That was it. So, yeah. That was that. Let me see. We got one more note here. Verse 9. So when it mentions the king of Jericho, 1, noting that the word one seems superfluous. Let me see. So it says the king of Jericho. I don't see the one. Maybe it's in Hebrew. Melech Yerihu Ahad. Oh, I see. Oh, you know what? I totally missed this. So let me show you. In so when you're reading the English, it says this, and then way over here, I didn't even notice this. So the king of Jericho, 1. The king of, couldn't read backwards, Ai, that's near Bethel, 1. The king of Jerusalem, 1. So when they're saying it, I look over here and you see it. Yeriho Ahad, 1. So, wow. So when it says that, the king of Jericho, 1, noting that the word one seems superfluous, the Midrash comments that the word, and that's probably, the Midrash comments that the word alludes to a second in command in each city who died along with his monarch. The comments that the word alludes to a second in command in each city who died along with his monarch. The word wants to say the Midrash. I don't know. Alludes to a second. Okay, so that not. Okay, again. So the comment is speaking of the Midrash. It's not speaking. Jordan, move. It's not speaking about the actual. What's written here in Pshat, the simple understanding as you read it, is talking about the Midrashic understanding of what the implication of the word one means. Okay? So don't make your head explode on that. And if you don't understand what Midrash is, if you don't understand whatever, just keep staying with us, keep studying, and make sure when you study that you are noting the concepts. So when you see something coming from the Midrash, that is a sign for you to know that there's a concept coming from this reading that we're not in the Torah, but we're in the Tanakh, that the Tanakh wants you to know, the sages want you to pay attention to. So what we want you to do is you want to get used to being a student of the Torah and not just a listener. If you are just listening to these videos and you're not noting the concepts, then you're not studying. I'm studying. You're just listening. But if you come with your notebook, and you already know what we're going to be studying because it's Joshua 12. Next time is Joshua 13. You write that down. You can have a page of Joshua. It doesn't matter. You write it down, what it is, and then write the concepts that come from each time that we study together. That's what you're going to be thinking on throughout the week. Look how these people who the Midrash said, again, the Midrash is not necessarily true. It's not necessarily false. It's just to make you understand the concept. These people came, Abraham and Sarah, no child, all these years. They have they're mocked by everyone, because what is a treasure of a husband and wife? To have children. And they're mocked by everyone, supposedly. And then look who is taking over now, the area of the mockers. That's the concept. You see what I'm saying? Look, Israel is taking over the people who are scoffing at them. That's a concept. You're going to write that down, however you understood it. You're going to think about that over your week. That's how you study. Because what's going to happen is you may see something else in the Tanakh, whether it's a Torah portion, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, and you'll be like, hey, I've seen that concept somewhere before, because a lot of things with the Jewish people just keep going. You know, it's just going to keep going back around. So you want to understand what's going on with the concepts. That's studying. If you learn a new word in Hebrew, write it down. Think over it. Let it be delicious to you. Not just hear it going one ear out the other. That is not studying. So go to the dollar store, get you a pen and a notebook, and let's get to work. When we're doing these videos, stop the video. Try to write down 2 or 3 concepts from the video. This was a very, very short chapter. Okay, so maybe we can only fish out one, but I'm sure there's more. Write it down and think over it through the week. Don't just let it go in one ear out the other. That's not how Israel does it. They think about things all the time, and they always are matching up events, because things like this actually keep happening for them. So thank you for studying with us. Okay? Thank you for studying with us, and I will see you next time. Thank you for making this your online Habruta. And thank you to all the new subscribers. We'll see you next time with Joshua chapter 13. We already know how it starts. Oops, sorry about that. See you.